Howdy gang, Michelle here, and I am bringing you guys the new pattern for this month, and I named it Stargazer because I personally love Stargazer lilies, and this is around the time of the year where you see them popping out and looking gorgeous. And if you don't know what a Stargazer lily is, Google it because they're gorgeous. For this, I obviously don't have a picture yet because I'm not quite done with it yet, but I am working this one up with my messed up paw. I'm actually going in for surgery in May. So depending on when you see this, it's either right before I have it done or after I have it done on my hand. And it's going to be quite the recovery process. Anyway, so I wanted to work this up. I figured since my hand's already messed up and they're going to go in there and fix it anyway, might as well do what I can. So for this one here, the yarn that I'm using is actually one from my landlady's knit shop. I'm going to try and peel this off so you guys can see, but it's Cascade Yarns, and it's a 220 Sport. It's kind of on the thin side, but for this particular piece, it works up really well. It's really nice and squishy, and I use the Leisure Art 1/2 inch loom. I would prefer either a 1/2 inch or 3/8 for this particular pattern if you're going to use a thin yarn like I did, or if you use a thicker yarn, it would look great as well. I absolutely love how this came out, and I wasn't sure at first. I started working it up with something, and I showed it to Becca, and we just decided that a solid would be better. And of course, once again, Becca knows best. So with this pattern here, it's actually really simple. As you guys know, I make things look complicated, but then once I break it down and show you guys how to do it, super easy peasy. And it's, as you can see by the chart, these first four right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the bottom part here. So it's just a simple garter, and then we get into the pattern. And just like all of my other hacks, when I showed you guys, like in the Rainier Cow, which I mentioned in here, always use lines that either purl or knit straight across to set up for those rows that require you to move the yarn. That way you're not fighting with the tension and it might be too tight or anything like that. So with this one here, it is a simple 4-row repeat basically. So let's just disregard lines 1 through 4 because that's a simple garter. Everybody knows how to do that. And we'll go into 5. So on row 5, you can see we just knit 3 and then yarn over, knit 2 together, repeat that all the way across. This is in multiples of 3. And if you do it flat, it's 3 plus 4. And the reason why I say 4 is because you're going to leave these two here and these two here for you know, the adjustment and knitting knitting on the other side. So for this particular one here, I knitted 31 pegs across, but as long as you have multiples of 3 plus 2 on each side, it gives it a cleaner look, as you can see here. And this side, it gives it a nice, clean, non-messy edge. Okay, if you want to do turn and wrap, hey, it's yours. You can do whatever you want. You guys know me well enough to know I like a nice, tight, clean edge, just like that. No loops, no messy, no nothing. Okay, and I'm almost done this one here. So basically, I just got to this without moving things around yet. So I'm going to show you guys how to move things around. And a little tip with this also, so that way you know which direction you have to move things back and forth. As you see, I have a little stitch marker here. So when I know that I have to move my stuff going this way, when I have to, you know, yarn over, I know what direction I have to yarn over. Because there's a lot of times where I have to get up and walk away, or I have to leave it sit for a day so that my hand or my shoulder can chill for a little bit. So as long as I know this is here, I know working this one, I'm going to yarn everything over to that side. And then when I get done, I move it back over here. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys real quick how to do this. And this is basically where I set myself up. So I've purled my way back. And for me, I find it's easier to purl going right to left Some people, it's left to right. You can do this however you want. Also, if you're not a fan of purl and you want to do this flat panel, you can actually knit this, because as you guys know, knit on one side is purl on the other. So if you're really not a fan of purling too much and you just want to purl this garter area here, that's totally good. Because as you can see, when you work this flat, there you go, that's the other side of it, which really isn't that different than this side. It is a little bit, but you can totally knit, and instead of where your inside normally is, it's going to be the other side. All right, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to roll this back up here, and then we're going to get started. So when I say your setup rows, you guys have probably worked with me enough to know. I'm going to bring my camera down so it's a little more at eye level for you guys, so you can see. You already know how to do your setups, I'm sure, for the most part, if you've watched my Rainier Cow, or you've been with me long enough to know how to do the little setups. Okay, so with me, I love to mark my my loom with some painter's tape, and where these O's are, that tells me that's where I need to yarn over. Okay, so I know my stitch marker is over here on this side, so I'm going to work in that direction. So what I do is I knit this one, and this is kind of awkward for me because my hand's messed up and I'm trying to do this around the camera. I knit two, and then I go back to the one that I have to move over, and I grab it and bring it over there, and then you can tighten it up a little bit. Don't beat your yarn up. Don't strangle it. Don't tighten it so much that you can't move it. Give yourself some slack and move it over. Slack and move it over, and you're going to continue that. Whoops, you're going to continue that all the way across. And then once you get across, you're just going to purl all the way back. So the ones that have two on it, you're going to knit, or excuse me, purl those two together. I should put that on the thing instead of knit. But again, like I said, you if you're not a fan of purling and you want to knit, you can knit those two together as well, because it's going to look the same on the other side. Now, if you're going to use this pattern for a hat, and do it in the round, which you totally can, you would just do it in rounds of 3, or multiples of 3. You're going to have to purl it to get that effect, or you're going to have to turn the hat inside out, and I don't know if that's going to give you the same look. Whoa, see, I'm so glad I keep my fingernail there. Come on. Sorry, this is going so slow than what you guys are normally used to seeing me do. This is just really awkward, number one, because of my wrist, and number two, because the camera is right between my arms. Almost done. Whoops. There we go. Come on. There we go. All right. Almost there. Give myself a little more slack. And this actually works up majorly quick. So if you're looking for a project that you need to do pretty quick as a gift, or anything else, this would be a great one to do. Okay, now the last ones, I know I'm just going to knit, and then I'm just going to come right back around, and I'm going to purl going in the opposite direction. So come on, get on there. There we go. All right, tighten that up, and then I'm going to purl this one. Boom. And as you can see, I have 2 on this one, and then you're either going to have 2 or an empty one, and you're just going to purl these off, or if you're not purling and you want to knit, you can knit those off. So lift those 2 off, drop it back down, and then bring your working yarn in front. Purl 2 off. Come on. There it goes. and then you're just going to continue that across. Now for me with this particular one, I'm literally at the length that I want. So once I get back over, I'm going to connect this and keep it as a cowl, actually as a gift for somebody. And you're just going to use the super stretchy bind off. If you're going to do it flat panel, if you're going to do a hat, obviously you're going to go until you get to the length that you want for a hat. Use my 4-peg decrease, and boom, you're done. So there you go. And again, this one is called the Stargazer. And you have the written part up here and also the chart down below. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for hanging out and continuing to be a patron. I love y'all bunches. Have a great day and happy looming. Bye.